I am grateful to fate for 3 gifts: to have been born a woman from the working class and an oppressed nation, and to the murky blue for being 3 times a rebel. This poem was published by the Catalan lesbian poet Maria Mercè Marçal in 1976. In the poem, she outlines the political analysis that she makes of her life, oppressed as a working class woman and as a person from an oppressed nation. She's not the only one to make this link between gender, national, and class oppression. In Catalonia, where I've done my research, many feminists have made this link between the oppression they face as women and the oppression they face for being Catalan. So in my dissertation, I've examined what I've come to term these women's feminist nationalism. Existing theories of gender and nationalism can't really account for why feminists would ever join a nationalist movement. These theories understand nationalism in its emphasis on bravery and heroics as masculine. And women don't really figure into this traditional nationalism as anything other than what Nira Yuval Davis calls reproducers of the nation, who biologically, ideologically, and symbolically carry the nation forward. It's hard to imagine any feminist finding common ground with an ideology like that. To complicate that view of nationalism, I point out the need to look more closely at the phenomena we describe when we use the term nationalism. Nationalism as an ideology constructs community, but it doesn't always construct community in the same way. Exclusive nationalisms use gender to draw the border of the nation, describing what is outside of the nation as feminine and what is inside of the nation as masculine. By privileging masculinity, they exclude women from participating in the national project. Inclusive nationalism, less invested in closing itself off from the outside, has less use for gender in that sense. So it is within these inclusive national projects that women, too, can find space as more than reproducers of the nation. And women participate in the national project from a specifically feminist perspective when they can identify a common oppression that they face both for their gender and their nationality, as in the poem by Marçal I just mentioned. So I approached this topic with several methods: a document analysis of historical documents to identify inclusive and exclusive strands of Catalan nationalism, an online survey to understand how people link inclusive and exclusive understandings of their nation to gender, and lastly, guided interviews with activists to understand specifically how feminists motivate their nationalist activism within these currents of Catalan nationalism. I found that indeed more exclusive currents of Catalan nationalism use images of martial masculinity that inclusive nationalisms in Catalonia reject. Women undertake nationalist activism more frequently in inclusive national projects, and all the feminist nationalists that I interviewed understand their nationalism as inclusive, and they articulate an understanding of Catalonia and women as facing similar oppressions. Women as culturally oppressed under the patriarchy, and Catalans as culturally oppressed under Spain. As one of my interview partners put it, the problem is this: being aware that you're in a country that does not work, and so as a feminist, you believe that these are the solutions, and as independentista, you believe that we would be much better off if we could carry them out. Thank you.